Hello there survivors and welcome back to another video in ARK Survival Ascended. Today we're taking a look at the Rohan inspired village that I'm building on Valguero. And in this build I'm actually combining some different designs. I've done a tutorial on the little starter house and I probably will be doing tutorials for the other builds that you can see here as well. So let me know if you'd like to see those. And I've actually been changing it up for these houses. Every house that I've designed so far, except for the bigger stables, I've actually built 2 times. One time just using the vanilla structures as they are in the game, and then the other time using the Viking custom cosmetics, the Viking builder custom cosmetics, to transform them into a different look. The advantage of using the Viking structures is that you could build it out of stronger materials and still get the similar look, and maybe even slightly better looking, of course, and you get all this added decor options as well that you could then use to bring your builds to even more life. But I also really like the fact that I can showcase you can still make these really cozy and cool builds without needing the cosmetics necessarily, but you can use them to strengthen your designs and make them feel even more stylized. So far in this little village, I've got 2 little houses that are like proper little starter houses, and then 2 simple houses that are slightly bigger that you could definitely have a little bit more room in for your adventures. And I really like the way I've been able to decorate the streets and the surrounding areas around the builds to really bring this all to life and tie it together. And then finally, the most recent addition is the big stable building at the end of the street, which is actually serving as my Deinonychus stables. Definitely really like the way that one turned out, and I probably will be doing a tutorial for this very shortly because it's a pretty nice build. Plenty of stable spaces for Deinonychus or Deinonychus sized tames, I suppose. And in the big tower you have plenty of room for your breeding projects on the first layer. Then you have a proper crafting and storage room on the second layer, and of course a full-fledged little bedroom all the way at the top of the tower. So if you like what you're seeing here for this little Rohan or Viking village, let me know what other buildings you'd like to see me add to this in this similar style. And of course, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really helps me out and I really appreciate it. And with that being said, let's head in and take a closer look at all of these builds. First of all, if you want to build in the same location, I've built this one right over here on the coast of the big lake in the middle of the map. And yeah, you can see a few different houses. So these 2 little houses at the back are the same ones. That's a little starter house that I've already got a tutorial on for the channel. And then I've built this simple house as a new addition, which is a slightly bigger version, and well, it has a little bit more room in it. As you can see, an additional side to the building to give you even more space. And again, I've built that twice, once with the Viking builders cosmetics to really bring it to life, and then one time without it to show that you can still get some really cool builds just using the available things in vanilla. I've not decorated these on the inside, but as you can see, I have been busy decorating the outsides here, really trying to bring this whole village vibe to life. So yeah, first of all, let's check it out. This little Viking house or Rohan house, I quite like the way it looks. I'm really in love with the style. I don't know, there's just something about Valguero that really gives me these Rohan vibes, so I wanted to be making some of these builds, and I've long been wanting to do builds in this style. You can see the inside, there's quite a bit of space. This is hollowed out so you could have like your cooker. You know, the fireplace in a Viking build would be typically somewhat lower down, and you could actually add a different layer to this and have an upstairs area, of course, for a bedroom, etc. So a decent amount of space, but still a relatively simple house build. Then right here in this corner, we've got this little garden, which is actually a little, well, parking spot for some of your tames. I really like the colors combinations on this one for sure. Yeah, so we have a little parking spot, and then the pathways which we can follow. The pathways are from Ferry's Pathways, which is a mod. We have, of course, the Viking builders cosmetics for a lot of this, and JVH landscaping for all of these plants. And then we have another little garden section here using some of these items from last year's Fear Ascended event, the pumpkins and the scarecrow, to bring this to life a little bit. And as you can see, just having these little patches around really transforms the build. Then we have the simple Viking house, the starter house, Rohan house, whatever you want to call it, which is quite cozy indeed on the inside. And again, little gardens all the way around it, even some sheep. And then we have the Viking version of it as well, which definitely looks very cozy inside with all the cosmetic skins that are available. Really transforms it into something quite proper. With a water tank here, got some sheep out the back. And then we have the simple version of the house in the vanilla structures, and you can see I've got a little farm field. I'm actually just using crop plots for this and then skinning them with the Klinger rustic cosmetic, which turns it into, or one of them can turn it into these mounds of dirt, which, to be honest, it's quite surprising we do not have this as a feature in the game. Like, why can't we grow crops outside wildcard? That feels like it would be such a simple thing to add and such a cool thing to add. Because you could make like little farming fields, which would be really cool. As you can see, as a little way of decorating the outside of your base, it's definitely a cool little addition. Then we have the same little simple house over here as well, with again decent amount of space inside. Oh yeah, this is one of the pits you could use, as you can see. Quite like that design. That's a cooker with the Viking skin on it, which is definitely some cool vibes. But again, I've not really decorated the inside of these builds, just kind of going for the vibe of the village. And then all the way at the back there, you can see the Dinosuchus stables, and I'm really happy with the way that build came out. So again, we've got all the lovely little pathways and gardens all the way around. We've got another farm field here, growing some severroot here instead. Again, really like the vibe that creates having these farm fields around the build. And then we've got this big stables build. Well, it wasn't necessarily meant to be this big, but it turned out to be a proper full-on base that you could use. So there's two options for these stables, either just the full-on open design that you can see here, and anything, well, Deinonychus size can easily fit inside. You could probably have 2 or 3 Deinonychus for each of these little sections. And if you want to make it even safer, you could possibly have a dino gate in here that would fit exactly in there. But you can also do something like this, which is the cellar door instead, because the cellar door is slightly bigger than a double door, which means more creatures would be able to fit through this gap and get in and out of the pen still. But of course, then the advantage is you can still close it if you want to keep your tames a little bit safer. I guess that's the way to go. But yeah, I really like the way that one turned out. Those little side stable buildings, they look quite good in my opinion. Quite a lot of detail to it. And again, just all using the vanilla structures and a little bit of the frontier skin to bring this all to life. Normally I would build everything twice. I think for this build that would be a little bit much. I will probably transfer it into the Viking skins after this video, so that we have a little bit of a comparison of like before and after just using vanilla structures, or also going with the Viking skins. And I think it's gonna look quite cool. I do already have some flags up there with the Viking skins just to tie it in together a little bit. But yeah, I like these windows. You could of course have some plants in there. Not sure if the Vikings would really have that many plants to decorate with, but it's just to make the walls a little less flat. And here you can actually see there's some balconies where you could land your flyers to bring stuff inside to your actual crafting and storage base, which I think is quite nice. And then you probably also noticed that I've used the frontier skin on these roofs, kind of to create a little bit more contrast between the wall and the roof pieces, which is quite a nice way to do that in that way with the skin. And then the tower actually turned out to have a lot of space on the inside. So we already have all these stable sections. And then in here, we have a proper breeding room. So you could hatch eggs. We've got fridges back here with the Astreus cosmetic. And we've got a vault here and a smithy. And of course, feeding trough. A bunch of cryo fridges with the Viking skin. And then, of course, a gene storage as well. So all of your breeding needs right down here quite easily, quite a lot of space. And then we can go up the next layer, which is the crafting layer. So we have storage and all the crafting station needed, even an industrial forge and fabricator, the cooker, again, storage, library, little kitchen area, cozy kitchen area over here. And these balconies, again, where you could park your flyers, drop off the stuff, load it up into your base quite easily, which is of course quite nice. And yeah, quite a lot of room in here turned out. And then we can go up another layer all the way to the top to get to the bedroom. So we have some beds here for respawn points. You can see even more storage up here. We have also a cozy little fireplace to kind of tying it all together and giving you that little bit of extra space all the way at the top to make sure that we're utilizing all of the different layers of these builds. And yeah, I'm quite happy with the way this one turned out. Again, I designed it as a Danonica stable in this Rohan / Viking theme, but I definitely think you could use this for a bunch of different tames, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Really like the design, but overall I'm just really liking building this little village, growing it and keeping the atmosphere very high here. So I probably will be adding more and more to this just because I'm having a lot of fun, and especially creating like images like this where you have the street, you have the farm fields, and then buildings in the distance. It's really, really nice. So I'll probably go into some more Rowan inspiration, maybe actually take some buildings from Edoras. Some of these are already inspired by that, but there's definitely a few more iconic buildings that we could then add. So definitely let me know if you'd like to see all of that, and if you want to see more videos and tutorials on these builds in this style. And then yeah, I might be doing one of those soon. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really helps me out and I appreciate it big time. And of course, feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds down in the comments below. For now, thank you for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.